What's up, guys? Highly Caffeinated Movies coming at you with our first YouTube post of the podcast. The Highly Caffeinated Movies Podcast is a weekly podcast where me and two of my friends recommend 3 hidden gem type movies that are on popular streaming services. We review them, we rate them, discuss them, and we just kind of tell you whether we recommend them or not. And we kind of give them a group rating. We're about 7 episodes into the podcast, and we're trying to kind of build up our YouTube presence a little bit. So we've actually filmed each podcast that we've done. So we're in the process of editing those and uploading them to YouTube. I'd like to apologize in advance for some of our earlier episodes. We were still just kind of trying to figure out what we were doing, I guess you could say, we were trying to figure out the structure of our podcast, trying to figure out what we were doing really. This was all a learning experience for us. So this is going to be our very first episode, the very first movie that we reviewed. Hope you enjoy it. It is a work in progress. They do get better if you want to listen to the podcast. I feel as if they get better around episode 3. And then we kind of find a rhythm at that point, and I feel like we're on the right track now. There is some audio issues, so I do apologize. We're also new to the audio aspect of it, so hopefully we won't have that many issues with that in the future. All right, hope you enjoyed. So the first movie that we're going to discuss today is going to be The Burbs.
All right, that about sums
Which,
up The Burbs.
The Burbs came out in 1989, and that was Lewis's pick for a hidden gem. We might be a little fuzzy on The Burbs because at the time
we had watched them a few months ago, and at the time it was on Prime, I believe it was Amazon Prime.
Yes.
Since then, Starz is the only site that's airing the movie. You can find it on
You can rent it
underground
You can
streaming
rent it.
services. But the movie from, like I said, 1989. It's a hidden gem these days. A lot of people our age don't know much about it, but I had older brothers and sisters, so I watched a lot of 80s movies when I was 5-6 years old, and I remember this one. The plot of the movie is a Tom Hanks movie. He's a suburbanite, a man on vacation, trying to enjoy his vacation. His wife telling him they need to go out and have a vacation, but he just wants to sit at home, drink some beer, and watch some ball games. The wife is played by Carrie Fisher. He's also got a son. The neighborhood is your typical late 80s, early 90s white suburbia.
Very white.
Nosy old people and stuff like that. Everybody cares way too much about their lawns and all that. But while he's taking his vacation, he ends up just getting more stressed out because he's got these new neighbors, and between him and his other neighbors, and they all think that these new neighbors are extremely creepy, and they eventually start to believe they're in a cult. But we'll get into those spoilers later as to how the movie progresses, maybe.
You really feel like these people don't have anything else to do with their time than worry about the people in the neighborhood. I know nothing about the people I live with.
Me either.
I guess it was something.
But I've been in neighborhoods where there's people who are overly concerned with everyone else, especially when I was living on a military base. Like it got bad.
I could see that. I just think it's funny how nobody even talks to their neighbors now, but in the movie, everybody has such a good relationship. Everybody has their own personalities.
They know each other. They're almost best friends and enemies.
Right.
Like they know each other as well as you know your cousins.
Yeah, I think it's funny.
The supporting cast. There's Carrie Fisher from Star Wars. She plays Tom Hanks' wife. Bruce Stern. I don't know much about him as an actor. He plays a war veteran with a hot young wife, and he just he likes to work on his lawn and watch the
That's
neighbors.
right. Yeah, he had the smoking hot wife. He was like the army general.
Yeah.
That was funny.
He was fun.
Yeah.
Which comes in handy when they try to spy on the neighbors. He's got all the cool equipment and stuff. Rick Ducommun?
Duncommon. Is it Duncommon?
Ducommun? He plays a clumsy, poorly talkative man.
Your stereotypical fat guy in the 80s.
But he wasn't really fat. He was just like chubby.
They actually said like he lost a lot of weight for this film. Like for towards the end of the 80s, he started losing a lot of weight, but they still cast him as the fat, clumsy guy. You know? the comedic relief.
Right. The funny thing about him is he kind of like he's like a character actor in a lot of other movies I've seen. He was actually a really good stand-up comedian. It's not Duncommon, it's Ducommon. You're right. But he was actually a really good stand-up comedian because he got his own HBO special, which not a lot of comedians got an HBO special back in the day.
I just remember him from Blank Check.
Yes, Blank Check. He was the limo driver. Yeah, he was the limo driver in Blank Check.
I was trying to think. I was like, Blank Check.
Probably another movie a lot of people didn't see.
He was also in Last Action Hero. He's had like small roles in a lot of
supporting
stuff.
character stuff.
Yeah. But
It's
the
a
fact,
comedic relief in the movies.
yeah, definitely. The fact that he had an HBO special though is actually pretty interesting because I mean, like they just didn't give those to normal comics, and it said in his bio that he was actually the first time that he did stand up, he was dared to do so by friends. So they kind of like talked him up to getting on the stage.
Just some good friends, because I mean, started his whole career.
I think he's still doing it.
Much better friends than you guys.
He died of the diabetes.
He did?
Yeah,
Damn.
yeah. R.I.P.
All right. Also, an interesting
I did
character.
not
Got
know
it.
that.
Type 2, I'm assuming, because of his weight problems. I just,
One of my favorite characters, a very kind of a smaller role but important. Corey Feldman is as a teenager. He's just he's a weird kind of teenager. He'd rather sit around and watch the neighbors do their stupid shit than actually go on dates and stuff. At one point in the movie, he actually brings a date to sit on the front porch and watch the neighborhood, and he's just in love with the stuff that they do.
That's not normal.
You sit on your porch and watch it.
I remember him being kind of a jerk. Was he?
He's
What was
a
his
little bit
first?
of a perv.
Okay,
Like he
that's
kept
what it
making
was.
comments towards that hot young lady
That's right.
Yeah.
across the street.
Yeah.
They put her.
He's a creepy kid.
She would wear skimpy outfits.
He probably didn't do much.
The army guy's wife. She just always gardening, so she's bending over, wearing practically nothing, and he would make comments the whole time. A little bit of a delinquent, but not terrible.
Bonnie Rumsfeld.
So I've always liked the movie, but then I first watched it when I was like 6. Not a lot of people I talk to these days that are my age understand when I talk the references, so I thought it'd be a good one to bring up on this podcast. There's more to the movie that gets into a little bit of spoilers. We might talk about that at the end. It's only it's a simple movie from the 80s. There's about 15 people that played in it, and it's just one shot of the neighborhood and a couple of inside of the houses. They kept it pretty simple, straightforward plot. Neighbors get curious as to what's going on. Half the time you're thinking, well, maybe these are an evil cult of neighbors, or maybe they're just really weird and the other neighbors are just being overly suspicious and paranoid. Either way, he's Tom Hanks just gets way too stressed out about the whole thing, and so they get together and decide they're gonna snoop, and that just brings comedy event after comedy event, and
A little dark comedy.
a little bit, but and then you have the help of Rick Ducommun to
I don't even know. That's like
things like him getting electrocuted or falling off of ladders. It's it can be pretty funny, but it's 80s funny, so it might not appeal to too many people of the younger generation, but I liked it.
Well, hopefully, the younger generation isn't listening to this podcast.
Well, that's rude. That's the representative of the younger generation.
You're the oldest one in this room. Shut up.
The second goal of this podcast is to offend. So the first is to talk about movies. The second is to offend.
Also, the movie was directed by Joe Dante, who is more known for Gremlins.
And Gremlins 2, the new batch.
And he also did a movie that I know you like, Small Soldiers.
Small
I love
Soldiers is an excellent movie. Hopefully we could talk about that on another podcast.
I'm sure you'll pick it.
Yes, it's a fantastic movie. He also did The Howling.
Yeah.
He's well revered in the horror community. He really excels, or he gets pigeonholed into doing those kind of movies. I'm not sure if he's a huge fan, but it seems like he stays pretty close to the
He does a pretty good job.
Yeah.
Yeah, even when doing a children's movie, he still keeps it creepy.
It was
With the
PG-13,
soldiers.
man. It was legit.
That was 13?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't
It was good. I remember having to
It's not good as
convince.
Gremlins, but it was okay.
N-
Gremlins is amazing.
Well, Gremlins is very good. Yeah. Before we get into spoilers and talk a little bit more about it, I think we should all just kind of say, you obviously liked it, you picked it. My opinion on it was that I thought it was good. I thought that they underutilized Carrie Fisher. I knew she was kind of in it, but she wasn't really.
Just the housewife in the background.
So, I mean, I thought, they didn't really use her as much as they could have. Honestly, I'm having trouble remembering anything about the movie as far as, special things about it. I will say when I watched it, I thought it was a good movie, and I would probably watch it again. I just don't remember. There wasn't much memorable about it.
Same. I was entertained, but
Yeah.
I also was just, it's a very oh yeah, I forgot about that movie.
Right.
It doesn't stand out. It's entertaining while you're watching it, but it's not one of those to me that stands out.
Yeah, it's not something I would like.
It's not something I would pick for this. Some people just make poor decisions and pick terrible movies.
Yeah, some people just pick awful movies when you tell them to pick a hidden gem. The definition of gem, maybe we need to clarify on what that means. No, I'm just kidding. I think it was a good movie.
I did enjoy it.
A Sunday afternoon movie.
Yeah.
Kind of like,
That's
you can
kind of the memories I have of
Yeah.
it.
You can kind of watch it and
it-
halfway pay attention.
it
and
would-
still get
It
everything.
would play on TNT or
It's
something
not
like
a
that
very
back in the
complicated
90s
movie.
on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah.
You can walk away for 5 to 10 minutes and still.
Yeah. I thought the characters,
No,
the
it
characters were
wasn't. It
interesting.
wasn't complicated at all. You don't have to sit to follow the plot like
very
the
simple.
next two movies. You kind of had to watch it. You had to make sure you're paying attention,
Right.
or you miss something. But
stereotypical characters that some people don't like in movies, but I don't mind it. I don't mind the perv kid and the old man, and I don't mind those because I feel like
It's
if
very
done right,
80s.
yeah,
Very
they can
80s.
play off of each other well. So I thought it was good.
Tom Hanks was really good.
Tom Hanks was good.
He's awesome.
I like Corey Feldman.
Yeah.
I'm
So was
a
Tom
fan
Hanks.
of Duke Common. I like him.
I did not know his name, but he's one of those people you
Yeah,
don't know
you
his
see
name, but
he's
you see him
always
you're
a
like, ah,
supporting
that guy.
character.
Yeah, that guy.
always a supporting character.
I usually like him.
Yeah.
So. I guess we can get into spoilers now. For the Burbs, if you can, really call them spoilers, I guess.
Well, I mean, this movie.
The movie is older than
Didn't-
both of you.
It didn't really.
I was
It
too-
wasn't too hard to guess what was going on. Eventually, they snoop around and they find different clues and things. And they meet the family. They're real creepy. So while some people are meeting the family, they got Rick Ducommun looking for clues elsewhere.
Calling him Duck Man.
And he's looking for clues elsewhere. He's digging in the backyard and stuff, and so there's a lot of things that would give these people reason. Finding giant femurs in their back, where their dog comes around the corner with a femur bone of a human. there's reasons for them to be suspicious. And all in all, they go in. Eventually, the family leaves, and they go in and start searching the house and stuff, and they're trying to do it before the family gets back. And they come back. There's cops and stuff everywhere, and something blew up. They hit a gas line, I believe it was, and so there's cops and firefighters, and they found nothing. They found no definitive evidence. So, overly stressed and pissed off, Tom Hanks, he's clothes are in tatters, black ash covering his face, and he eventually, he grabs that stretcher and puts himself on an ambulance. He's just done. He don't want to believe his neighbors anymore. He's done listening to stupid people. He gets in the ambulance, and surprise, surprise, who's driving it? But a couple of the family members, the creepy family.
Yeah, and at that point, you still think
Slovaks.
that there's nothing going on with the family because it's like all been outed, right?
Yeah, they didn't find anything in the
Correct.
basement. They ended up just hitting a gas line and blowing up the house. And
Right.
so it was just a creepy family in a creepy house, and that's what it seems to be. But
I would almost wanted the movie to end there.
Is that what happened in the movie?
did you even watch it? I know he watched it, but did you even?
I watched it.
I would have almost like
I think I've seen it like 3 times in my life.
that's the first like quote unquote ending of that movie. I would have rather that Tom Hanks and his neighbors would have just been like just out of their mind, and they would have all been prosecuted and like gone to jail. And
That's what I thought was going to happen.
That would have been a severe twist and like a harsh reality for all of them.
Like it was all just a dream.
Yeah, like I would have.
They're all delusional. The reality of white suburbia is they're all crazy, and the normal people just seem crazy.
Yeah, that would have been. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, that would have been. I think there are movies like that where it's just like.
But like they blow up these people's house, like
Nonchalant.
on
Blow up my
suspicion.
neighbor's house.
On suspicion.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I've
well,
only blown up like 3 neighbors' houses.
Yes.
in the ambulance, he's fighting for his life because he found out. I mean, one of the Slovaks, the creepy family, is actually a doctor and knows things, and so he's trying to like give Tom Hanks a shot of something to paralyze him and shut him up for good, right? Even though they're pretty much clear right now, they still tend to want to try and kill Tom Hanks. Well, he fights him off. The ambulance crashes. And the truth comes out. They find a bunch of bones in their truck, or in the trunk of their car. They eventually all go to jail and everything. It has a happy ending. It's an 80s movie.
Yeah.
And it's not an extremely creepy movie.
Did we ever really learn what their motivation was?
They
Or
were cannibals.
They were cannibals?
They were cannibals. Yeah, they were creepy cannibals, and he was using his cover as a scientist at the
Damn cannibals.
They are who we thought they were.
Yeah, they were using the cover. They were using one of the men's covers was he's a scientist at the university, so Dr. something Slovak, and they use that for cover as why they have their creepiness, I'm good with my movie was pretty easy to review.
Yeah, I mean, what did you, if I was going to rate it out of, if I was going to give it like an A, B, C, D rating, I'd probably give it a C+.
Compared to today's movies and other performances by those actors and other performances by those directors and writers, I would say, yeah, somewhere C+. But, I first watched this when I was a kid, and I've always loved this movie. I'm always going to love it.
Yeah.
So,
A lot of times you have
so
a
it's
lot
a
of
little
those
bit-
where you watch as a kid and you're like, man, I love that movie. And you
Yeah,
watch it as an
well,
adult, you're like,
when
you chose that random movie.
when he said to pick a movie, and I'm going through this list on Just Watch app,
Yeah.
And
and
this is the
I saw
beginning.
that, and I was like, oh man, I used to love this movie, and so that's immediately why I picked it.
Yeah.
That kind of goes
But you're
into why I
right, it's
picked
not as
mine.
good as I remember.
Yeah.
But I still think people can enjoy it. Like you said,
Tom
Sunday
Hanks.
afternoon.
Everybody loves Tom Hanks.
Yeah, okay.
This is, you know, back
Except
when
for-
he was still into his beginning.
Except for
of his
what's his
career.
name, Ricky Gervais or whatever.
Yeah.
Ricky Gervais. Yeah. Ricky Gervais is not like that,
he doesn't like anyone in Hollywood.
That was great, by the way. If you haven't seen Ricky Gervais's,
Yeah. Hilarious.
Golden Globe speech.
yeah, you need to check that
His
out.
opening monologue.
You need to check
Dude,
that
this coffee's getting to me.
out.
I would like some more of this coffee.
By the way, the coffee that you saw in our intro and that we're drinking this episode is French Market New Orleans roast coffee. We're gonna try
It's
to
local
highlight a
It
different.
tastes just like New Orleans. Sewage and trash.
It tastes exactly
you
like
drink it.
Bourbon Street trash.
Yes.
We're gonna try to highlight a different type of coffee, flavor of coffee, different brand every episode. So if we do get any listeners anytime in the future, if you'd like to recommend a type of coffee for us to choose, please do so. Do we want to say anything else about the Burbs?
It's not.
Do we have to?
It's not that much to say. It's a good old fashioned movie.
Yeah.
Little bit of suspense, but mostly comedy.
It's one of those that's
there's
good to play in the
Slight
background.
twist in the bat.
If it's on TBS and you might want to do something while you're watching a movie,
If you're a Richard Duke-Common fan,
you're gonna love it.
check it out. Because he's usually a supporting actor, and here he gets kind of not top billing, but
We can do
He
a
shares-
Richard Duke-Common marathon one
we
day.
could do Richard.
That'd
We
be
could pay
fun.
tribute. Yeah, that'll be the first ever.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's ever done that.
His IMDb picture is the picture in black and white from the Burbs, and that movie was how old? It's 30 years
30
old
years,
today.
yeah.
This year, I guess. No,
last year.
Yeah, last year. So about 30 years old. So
Yeah.
he must have
It's 1 year younger than me.
been his favorite, possibly, or when he was the thinnest. That's why he's got it up there.
Yeah,
when he was at his.
It's a good picture. I mean, we used that one forever.
Yeah.